Yeah, that's a nice painting.
Oh, thank you.
Are we talking about his turtle behind his head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it two turtles on that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Two turtles. I stand corrected. Two turtles. Okay. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Okay.
And you?
We're getting close. We're on the down side of the week.
Yeah.
You know, tomorrow is Friday. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got over to Benson and I photographed just about all of the artwork that's over there. I looked for your painting and there are things from the same session. I didn't find yours.
Okay.
I did find your bird. It's in the case.
Yeah.
It's there. But I'm still, you know, digging through stuff, looking, you know, for where things are. So if I come across it, I will let you know.
Okay.
But that's kind of where we are with that. Let's see. I need to probably minimize some windows here because I got a whole bunch of stuff open. Anyway, anybody got anything they want to talk about before we get into the deep dive into all this fun stuff?
I need to give you a report on the art tint process that I studied. It's quite elaborate and involved, and there are many different types. And
We're talking about aqua tint.
excuse me, aqua tint. Yes, sorry. And what a lot of trouble.
Well, it's a printing process.
Really? Yes, yes. I saw that.
Yeah, printing processes are a bit more involved, but the reward in doing any type of printing process is that you can make multiple copies of an image. It's not a one-time thing. Now they do have a process. It's very similar. It's kind of hybrid. It's called monotint, and a monotint is, or monoprint is.
I want to get my notebook. Just a second. I want to write this down.
Okay.
Okay, monotint. I'll write that down.
It's actually called monoprint. I'm sorry.
Monoprint. Okay.
Yeah. And mono
It's
meaning
different,
one, right? You know, mono meaning one. You know, so you get one out of each pass. Now, the difference with like a monoprint is you're working on either a metal or a stone, like a lithostone surface, and you're applying ink directly to it and or some kind of resistant material and then putting ink on. But it's like every time you make a pass, you add more color or you know, will add another element and then make another print. And that's what's called a monoprint, because none of them are exactly the same. But you still have ink on the stone from the previous print, so it just adds to it. And it's a real.
What I thought so interesting was when they took it through the acid bath to cut the rosin that was put on the plate.
Right.
There were so many different ways that artists did that and got different results. Some had a scattered background that looked almost bumpy, and then others had the very distinct lines that went with each figure.
Yeah, 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 and you know, depending on the material, you know, because some used like copper plates, some used like steel or aluminum plates, and then the emulsion that they put on it, and then how the acids, the different types of acids and things that they would use to etch away at it, you know, would give you a different effect. So, yeah, printing is a whole nother thing, you know. And you know, some people get into it and they really love it, and that's their main art form. That's what they do, And, you know, you can combine elements of painting as well as drawing, you know, into your printing process. And, you know, there's lots of different ways of doing it. You know, this thing that they call lithography, you know, it's kind of confusing because there's actually two totally different types of lithography. There's artist lithography that works with what they call a litho stone, and you use a crayon and you draw your image onto the stone, and then you put, you know, an emulsion over that basically just leaves the areas where the crayon was down. You know, it basically fills in the voids, right? So that the only thing that you get taking ink is where you did the drawing. And then you can make a print of that. Now, commercial lithography is made with metal plates, and they use what they call a CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black mixture to make all of the colors out of it. And that's more what you see in like books and magazines and things like that, particularly color reproductions. Okay? So there's that.
So, for example, if you picked up a book in the library, a children's book, and looked at it, would those pictures in a children's book be lithographs?
Well, they were printed lithographically.
There you go. Very interesting.
Yeah. Now you see, there's a difference between a book or page or a magazine that's printed with lithography versus an art print that's a lithograph. Okay, they're two very different animals.
Right.
Okay, because lithographs, you know, the fine art thing is made in limited runs. You may do 100, may only do 30, right? Anywhere in between there. And those are generally hand signed and numbered as you print them. See, and that's what gives them their value, right? Where something out of the New Yorker is not particularly very valuable or collectible at first. It could get real old and be, you know, if it had something to do with some kind of, you know, major event or something like that. But yeah, printing is a whole nother animal. But it's fun if you've ever tried it. I'm sure that when you're in school, you know, probably in like grade school, anybody ever do any like wood block printing?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that gives you some insight. You know, that's like one of the simplest methods of printing. But it's very similar to lithography. The only difference being you're using a wood or linoleum block and carving into it. Where with you know, a litho stone, you've got a stone and you either draw or paint, you know, some kind of resistant material onto it, and then ink it and then make multiple prints.
I once used a potato that I made a design on, cut the parts away so that the design would stand out, and then stamped and made some wrapping paper.
Right. Yeah. Now you know, that's what we call stamping, which is different than painting, because even painters can do very similar things with paintings. You can make your own stamps and then stamp it onto your surfaces and things like that. So, all right. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about other than printing? Okay. All right.
I used to have my own print shop.
You did?
Using offset
Okay.
printing.
Yeah, offset printing. Yeah, okay. All right.
Question, why do they call it offset?
You want to explain that, Bob?
Well, because basically you have a plate, you have ink, and you have like a rubber blanket and then the plate engages the ink and then lays it offsets it onto a rubber blanket, and then that rubber blanket then presses on the paper. So it's really two processes there.
Yeah. Right. And usually, were you doing 4-color printing?
I'm sorry?
Were you doing 4-color
No.
printing?
No. I just had some small press. I had a 2-color press. One of my presses was, I could use 2 colors at once, but, and I tried to register it to do 4 colors. Just, there's no way I could get close. No way in the world I could get close.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. I've done some printing like that where I've used like, you know, a 2-color press with like 2 colors to do like a duotone and then spot colors. And you can do stuff like that, but
Right.
it makes
But
it hard.
yeah, but say trying to register the colors to where they're overlaying each other at the right value in spots to make, you know, you take red and you take yellow and try to make orange, and you get smudges.
Yeah. Been there, done that. Seen that happen. So, yep. Anyway, okay. So let's jump into looking at some of the work let's see who we got here. First of all, we got 8 full folks today. So welcome everybody. So we got Wanda, Veronica, Eloise is here. Bob's here. Rebecca's here, June, and me. We're missing Miss Bernice Washington and a couple of others. Okay, we're going to jump in and we're going to start looking at stuff. And I'll try to hit the people who are here first. And then if other people join us, then we'll jump to them as well. Okay? But yeah, I want to start with okay, so we're going to skip Bernice for now. Actually, let's go. What do we want to start? Let's start close to the bottom. Okay? We'll do it backwards today. Okay. So let's start with Wanda. She's here. Okay. How you doing, Wanda?
Hi. I'm doing good. A little chilly outside.
Yes, it is almost mid-December. And so it should be, right?
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, like everybody else, you know, we're always happy for those few warm days we get at this time.
Okay.
So anyway, this is Wanda's Ballerina that we did not get to talk about the other day because she wasn't here. So you've got a lovely drawing of a ballerina there. Generally, your proportions and things are pretty close. I think the arms and the head could have been a little bit thicker maybe, or the legs a little bit smaller. But you're not way off in any means. And you've got a nice feel to the drawing. You got a nice movement in it. The only thing I would say to you, when we were doing this drawing, remember looking at the drawings that I showed you before we started actually doing the drawing? Were you there for those? The
Yes.
examples? Right. And what we talked about at that point was varying the types of lines that you make, right? Heavy, soft, or, you know, having a line go from something that's kind of dark and heavy to something that's light, you know, so it makes a transition. You know, it's not all the same all the way along an edge, right? And, you know, the main thing kind of working, you know, against this drawing right now is that everything is too even. And I talk about this a lot. If this line is going to be this way, well, on the other side, it can't be the same. The one's got to be heavier, one's got to be lighter. Because what you're talking about is an arm, which happens to be kind of a cylinder, right? A rounded form. And if it's a rounded form, then one side of it is going to be reflecting light. The other side is going to be somewhat in shadow, right? And it makes sense. The shadow side you make heavier, the light side you make thinner or a lighter value, right? And so when you put two lines kind of running parallel like that, what it says is that it's a flat shape. It doesn't say that it's flat. But if you had made this line heavier or this line lighter, then you would have said, okay, that's a round arm. Okay?
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. You know, anything that's a round form, right? Like the torso of the body, like the head, the arm, the leg, right? You're never going to have two lines that are the same on each side. It's not going to happen. You know, the same thing's going to happen with a candlestick or, you know, a vase or anything else when you draw it. Because it's a rounded form, one side's going to have a heavier line, the other's going to have a lighter line, right? Because it's going to have to, you know, basically tell you, oh, the light was coming from this direction, so this line is, you know, maybe lighter in value or thinner. And or
Okay.
as it turns into shadow, it's going to get thicker and darker, maybe. Okay.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. Okay.
Okay.
But your proportions and stuff, and the way you handle the background, you know, the overall mood are really nice. You know, you've got a lot of that stuff worked out pretty well.
Thank you. Thanks.
We got your drawing from memory. Okay. So let's see how much you remembered. Okay. There was your image. And so you had a flower pot sitting on, you know, like a little desk or something. You know, and it's in a doorway. And you've got lots of colorful stuff. Evidently, you like a lot of color around your house, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't put it in my drawing though.
Oh, well, no, in the drawing it's fine, but just looking at,
Yeah.
you know, the variety of color and stuff, you know, and the artwork on the walls and everything, you know, you like a kind of a nice, rich color palette.
It's my granddaughter's.
Yeah, your granddaughter's? Well, okay.
Yeah. And that's going into her room.
Okay, yeah. But looking at that, okay, and so where things are, you've got the table, you've got the vase or the pot sitting on top of it. And then let's look at your drawing, right? And so, okay, you know, you've got a lot of the elements, right? You've got the flower pot, you've got the actual flowers in there, you've got the, you know, artwork behind, you've got the, I don't know whether that's a quilt, but it's a piece of fabric, you know, and it's got a border on it, and you've got that in there. You've got your tabletop, and then you didn't really describe what was behind, you know, the hanging curtain there. But for the most part, you've got all those elements in there, and you've got it with a sense of depth and perspective back to at least, you know, the wall and the doorway, and things begin to feel, you know,
It's open.
they could be sitting in three-dimensional space, right? Okay. So for the most part, you know, for drawing from memory, you remembered a lot. You did good. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess when you look at something every single day, you know, you try to remember some things to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, even things that we think that we look at every day because we walk by them and all, you know, we have this idea about what they are, but then we try to draw them and then we find out that, you know, we really haven't been looking at them. You know? Because, you know, it's funny, you know, it's like because the brain is always pulling up, you know, information that we held in there for a long time. And sometimes, you know, when we look at something like right now, what you have to realize is you're not only seeing it now, you're also seeing every experience that you've had with something similar all at the same time. Because that's what makes up that image in your head, is all the things that your brain thinks it knows, all of it, all of your experiences and stuff like that. And it combines them all together into an image at that very moment.
I guess why they say stuff like it in my mind's eye.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're seeing it with your brain, but trying to put it down on paper is two different things there, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's why even, you know, like in court cases where they talk about an eyewitness,
Mhm.
right? They've proven that that's really quite unreliable, actually.
Mm.
You know, because the things that we think we see, you know, yes, we're seeing what's going on with our eye, but our brain is translating it and interpreting it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
all of your previous experience in life really colors how you see that, you know, thing happening. So, yeah, the brain is an interesting thing.
Yes.
And how our brains work, and the fact that we can all walk around on the same planet, you know, and kind of agree that we have similar experiences is amazing all in itself. You know, it really is.
Seeing things differently. It's just like someone tells you a sentence and tells you to pass it on to the next person.
Mm-hmm.
By the fourth person, that sentence has totally changed. It's probably not even what you said in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. 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 There's so many little influences and factors. You know, maybe you know, maybe the intonation in their voice or the way they said it, whether they were excited or whether they were
Right.
sad
Yeah.
sounding. That,
Mm-hmm.
you know, could really, you know, color, you know, how it's perceived. So, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, nice drawing, you know.
I like
Very
your
nice drawing.
picture, Wanda.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I'll go back and put the color in it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like old TV we had years ago. My gosh.
Mhm.
Whose picture is that?
That's Susan Adair. Is she here? I didn't see her. Has Susan made it yet?
Oh,
I don't think so. I don't.
it had to be what, 1955?
Oh yeah.
Somewhere like that.
Yeah, that's. I remember having a similar TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our very first black and white TV.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in '55, and they probably bought it about the year that I was born. And
Okay.
instead of having a rectangular screen, it was in a box, very kind of similar to that, but rather than being like real vertical, it was real horizontal. And it was kind of an oval shaped screen. It was not a rectangular shaped screen.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that TV as a kid.
Did it have a small screen? I remember the first one I saw was at my uncle's, but it had such a small screen. I don't remember if it was square or
Yeah.
oval, but it was a lot smaller than the one in this picture.
Yeah.
Right.
I think our first one was a small screen like yours, John.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you that screen probably wasn't more than 18 inches across, you know.
I remember a very small round screen.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
a Motorola.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours wasn't really round. It was kind of more oval, you know, but it wasn't really very big, you know, but it came in a big wood box. You know, it was this little tiny screen and this big heavy piece of furniture. You know, it was crazy. But I remember, you know, as a kid, probably up until I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, we loved that TV. And it was probably like I was probably like 10 or 12 before we got a color TV. Yeah,
I can't remember how old I was.
yeah, but
Me either.
yeah. Well, I remember watching the Beatles on that TV, right? And that had to be, what was that, about 1960 what about 65, 66, something like that, when the Beatles came on Ed
Yeah.
Sullivan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I remember
hilarious.
Howdy Doody and Captain somebody.
Yeah, yeah. I remember like one of my grandmother's favorite shows at that point in time was Amos and Andy. Does anybody remember that?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And the kingfish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I remember watching that every afternoon with her. Because that was her TV time. She had a couple of hours that she wanted to watch TV, and I don't care what went on in that house, that TV was hers.
Yeah.
At those hours. So everybody, if you wanted to watch TV at that time, you're going to watch what she wanted to watch.
I think Amos and Andy transitioned from radio to
Mhm.
television.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure did. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I
What
remember.
about the Ed Sullivan show?
Yeah,
Oh
another one.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
what I was talking about. That's where I saw the Beatles. And
I'm trying. I can't remember what year it was, but I remember when cable first came out. And yes, when
Okay.
cable first came out, I was a teenager. And I remember my dad saying, I'm not going to pay for watching my television.
Cable?
And yeah, it
Where
was
were
cable.
you at?
Oh my God. We were here in Buffalo, but it was when it first started coming out. And I don't know, it just evolved into what it is now. But back then, I think I must have been 14 or 15. And I remember my dad telling my mother, I'm not paying for this stuff to be seen on TV, and I've been getting it free all these years. It was so funny, but we didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I don't
And
remember cable
that's
until I
when the
was
Flintstones were coming on TV and different stuff like that. I remember that.
Oh.
And I didn't know what my dad was talking about, paying for pay TV. That's what it was called, pay TV.
ATV. Huh.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't really remember that until I was an adult. I was probably in
Oh yeah.
my 20s.
Yeah, you were just a baby walking around.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were 17, yeah. you probably
No, I
should.
wasn't 17. I was about 14, between
14.
12 and 14 years old I was. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you when that was, but.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. All right. Anyway, moving on. Let's get back
Yeah.
to it. So Susan.
Nice picture though.
Yeah, Susan. Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed that any of these are still around. But Susan.
Beautiful condition.
Yeah, this is her subject that she drew, and this is her drawing of it. Yeah. So she got
Oh yeah. Mhm.
she got a lot of the details and things about the TV itself. But proportion wise, things like that is not quite the same. But hey, again, we're drawing from memory. We're looking at something trying to draw. But exercises like this are really, really good to help you kind of really begin to look at things, and really kind of forces you to really try to look at something, which is not easy, by the way. It takes practice and skill. We have Rebecca here. And then now, Rebecca, this is a photo, right?
Correct. Yes.
And you printed it out or something? It was like a photo from somewhere. And where did this come from?
That's it. That's in Florida at a beach.
Okay. And this is your supposed memory?
No,
No?
no, not memory. It's just,
Oh.
it's a beautiful sunset, and I tried to capture it.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, because
It's pretty. Look
yeah.
at the crescent moon up there.
It is, yeah. Yeah, because one of the parameters for the memory drawing is you look at an actual real object and then draw it.
Which
But okay,
picture is the painting?
pardon?
Which picture is the painting?
Well, the one above it is the painting.
Oh,
So that's what she painted from the record.
oh, good job, Rebecca.
Very good. I like it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you know, I mean, this is your interpretation. Now, what you did is you, at least from what we're seeing in the photograph, you know, you pushed the color up some more, which is good, you know, because it gave it more life than what the original photograph actually had. And so, you know, that's fine. Now, as far as the values go in your painting, I want you to squint your eye down and look at it. And I'm going to blow it up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So the thing I want to mention to you is, okay, so your strongest darks are really kind of like right in here. You know, you're here. But then you use this dark, you know, back here in the background and here. The good news is that when you put it in there, the paint is wet and it kind of grayed it down a little bit, so it helps that part move back. But you got to be very careful. You know, if that's going to be your strongest dark, you really want to leave that, you know, probably toward the foreground, and you don't want to put the same value back here. Right? Likewise, I know that you know, in your mind, you know, what you're seeing is you're saying, okay, so this is a tree and that these have to be green. Okay. And I agree with you. They probably were, right? But when you look at the actual image, the light was kind of behind them and you really don't
Right.
pick up a lot of green in there. You know, and if it is a green, then it's a very, very dark green and the value is
Right.
really pretty dark. And if you look at, you know, the difference between, say, the limb and then the actual foliage, they're really pretty close in value. You know, the difference between the two is not so much the value difference as the temperature difference. You know, the limb feels maybe like it's got a little red in it or warmer, and then this is a little more bluish or greenish, but the values are almost equal. And in your painting, you see you made the tree trunk and all the limbs, you know, a generally, you know, more neutral kind of black. And then when you got to your leaves, and I know because you were painting into wet paint, what happened was that the value of your foliage got lighter in value than the limbs themselves. So you could push these a little bit darker, and then you'd have something closer to that silhouetted feeling.
I agree. Thank you. I was working with a brand new brush. I'd never worked with it that had that many. It was a fan shaped brush. And so I was having a lot of fun with it, but kind of hard to manipulate too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and usually fan brushes, what they're used for is for blending edges and feathering stuff. But
So
anyway,
darken the greens. Okay.
yeah. And so if you darken the value in here, all of that will come forward. And then the other thing is right here, your water, which is kind of, again, bluish, greenish, and that's fine as far as the color goes. But again, the value has to be somewhat lighter.
Right.
If the value here was closer to, say, this, then this would recede, right? And if you look at it in the actual image, you get a little bit of blue there, but when you compare how dark that is to a lot of this stuff, it's really quite a bit lighter.
Right. It's almost gray.
Uh-huh. Kind of
It's almost
gray,
gray.
purple, yeah.
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 So right there where your arrow is pointing
Mhm.
is an island, and it's called Ile de Chêne. It means dog island, because
Okay.
it's shaped like the leg of it. It's shaped like the leg of a dog.
Okay.
But I will put that in and make it more visible when I repaint.
Well, you can. You don't have to, but yeah, the main thing is just get the value structure right. Okay.
Right.
And that way you'll get your foreground moving forward and your background will be backward. And let's take a look at this real quick.
Rebecca, what did you use? Oil or acrylic?
This was oil, and I haven't painted in oil for 6 months, so I was just relearning a lot of things. And I did have a question for Charles about layering oil. What I found is that it took about 3 to 4 days to actually dry. Is that normal?
Yeah, depending on how much medium you put into the paint and how thick you lay the paint down on the first layer, it will affect the drying time. Usually you start off with your dark colors first, and
Right.
those are thinner, and then as you move to your light colors, you get them thicker, less medium. Okay?
So, Charles, do you think that this really is like a silhouette, and that's why the darks need to be so dark?
Yeah, because from where the photo was taken, all the light is out here on the horizon, right, which is basically silhouetting everything. And if you look at the value of, say, this little tear out here or post sticking up, it's dark, but when you look at how dark this is,
Yes, I see.
yeah, it's not like a huge difference, but it's just enough of a difference that it makes it sit back. So just be aware of that, as you move backwards and forward in space. You as a painter have to interpret what you're seeing and figure out how you're going to say that, and get it to do what you want it to do, which is, you want to sit in space, in comparison to everything else. So like, making these slightly lighter than these would be one way. The other thing that kind of bothers me about this, and I know it is what you see, but you see how these come like really, really close to the horizon line?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they don't break the horizon. They just kind of
Right.
almost right after it. If I were going to put something like that in, I would either come up slightly above the horizon line, or I would bring it down further so that it's not close to it. Because you create, a tangent right there where the two things come together, and kind of makes it almost like a focal point. Your eye goes
Like a what? It makes it like a what?
a focal point, something to look at.
A focal point. Oh,
Yeah,
right.
it draws your eye to it because of the way it connects to the horizon. Let's back it up.
Right.
See how you keep wanting to look at those? And that's because they're sitting right there on that horizon line, and they do. They kind of create a like.
And so for them not to compete with what's in the front, the dock, you would either shorten them or lengthen them above the horizon. Okay.
Right. Yeah, just either break the line or either make it shorter than the line, one or the other. Right. And it will make them less important. And, anytime you have two things line up like that to come together, it's what we call a tangent. And those are things that painters, when you first start painting, a lot of people don't see those. Yeah. But if you ever run into them, in a piece of reference or something that you're painting, just, make a different choice, adjust it, because you can, that it's going to become kind of a problem area for you. And so just go ahead and dissolve it by either breaking that line or moving it away from there. The other thing is you could just leave it out totally. It's like, do I really need those? So, that's the other option. I mean, the point is, you're the artist. You can put in or leave out whatever you choose. And then we have, you got a drawing here. of a lady in a dress. Is this another one of the things that a Barbara? Yep, Barbara Bradford.
Oh,
Correct.
that's nice. I like that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think didn't we look at this before or something like this? Oh, that's right. We looked at it and it was a lighter colored dress, right?
Well, what had happened was I did not pay any attention to darks and lights
Mm-hmm.
and where the light was hitting the figure. And this time I went back and added in the shadows on the right-hand side of her body.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now, one thing you may have noticed is, you know, with his leg coming forward like that, that shadow didn't stay back here, kind of came under that leg, and that, you know, probably that shape in there was actually darker because where the light was hitting was up here on the top of the leg, and then it expanded. It had to go into more of a shadow, like right in there. But
Okay.
go back and look at that on the reference.
I will. I'll definitely look at that.
Yeah, because, you know, that leg doesn't quite bend right now because it's kind of flat across there. You know, and there's not enough of a value change to tell you that really the knee is bent and that this is coming forward and that's moving backwards. So
I'm not hearing anything. I don't know. I'm just,
you're not hearing anything?
well, you just faded off into no, Lynn.
Hey, I do that. I just, you know, mutter away, you know. I'll lean forward. How's that?
Okay.
That way my head can't get that far away from the microphone on this. But yeah, what we were talking about is right here where the leg is bending. You know, it's all kind of the same value from this dark edge all the way over to the shadow. And if that leg is actually bent, you would expect to see more of a value change from the light hitting the top of the leg to where it rounds over to the side and it has to fall into more shadow. So I would think that the shadow would kind of do this. It would move forward and then downward. And that all of this would be maybe not as dark as this, but darker than what you have. Okay. And then we have, was this on your porch? I think you had done something like this before, right?
Yes, this was the picture that I added to because it was the one that I looked at, then went away and drew and then came back.
Oh, this
And
is
so-
your memory. Okay, your memory.
That's right, the memory one, right.
Okay, all right.
And it's right by a plate glass window in our breakfast room.
Okay, right. So it's basically backlit, right? Because all the light's coming in from outside behind it.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. All right. So yeah, all of your values and things are, you know, a bit darker in field because it's inside, the light's coming from behind it. Okay. And these were amaryllis, as I remember.
Yes, they're
Okay.
all bloomed out at this point. It's amazing. That was where that was back on the 27th of November, and now they're just about gone.
Okay. I thought amaryllis like lasted like a really long time.
They do. You can keep them and let them die back and regenerate their energy and replant them the next season, and they'll come back. And I plan to do that as an experiment to see if I can have that beautiful red trumpet flower again.
Yeah, but I thought the flowers lasted a long time. I thought they lasted like, you know, like almost 2 months or something like that.
Yeah, I thought so too that day last.
Yeah, they normally do.
Yeah.
I'll show you what's left.
Okay.
Well, my question is how she managed to grow real straight up.
They do. They
Mine, they go one side. Yeah, that's amaryllis. Yeah, amaryllis, yeah.
Charles, can you see?
Oh, that's pretty, Rebecca.
Yeah.
That's what's left.
Yeah, so
So
you got like 3 of them.
Yeah, so it's been blooming since November,
Mm-hmm.
and what you do is you let the stalk die back and it'll turn ugly.
Mhm.
And then people actually put them out in the sun during the summer and the spring and summer, bring them back in the fall, and then after this part has died down, the whole cycle starts again.
Yeah, you have to put it to sleep in the fall and the winter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll go dormant.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, beautiful flowers though.
Mhm.
I've tried
I
painting.
thought you had to keep them in the shade once they die down. But
Mhm.
Yeah, that's part of the regenerating part.
yeah,
I put it in my storage room and leave it there until next year.
Mhm. Yeah, I've tried painting those. They're not easy. They're not easy to paint. Of course, I don't think any flower is really easy to paint, actually. I've tried a few of them, and they're just like, they're tougher than painting children. They really are. So that's just me. I know some of you people really love painting flowers, like Armando. I was looking at some of Armando's earlier work. He's painted a lot of flowers this last year, year and a half. So, so this is your bottle. This is from a couple of weeks ago. The drawing that we did from the still life. And I don't know whether we've talked about this before, Rebecca, or not, but I mean, you know, your proportions, you know, the shadow, everything else is kind of in place. Really, the only thing about this drawing, again, that you could do to make it better is vary your line weight. You know, again, this is a cylindrical object. And so, you know, this side of that neck of that bottle cannot be the same weight and value of line as the one over here. And you've added some shadow and stuff in here. But, you know, when you get down here, you know, it kind of becomes the same. And so you really got to look at those and, you know, kind of figure out whether or not you need to push it, make it heavy, or make it lighter. Okay?
Okay.
So the same thing with the glass, right? You know,
Right.
doesn't matter whether it's a human figure or an object. Again, if it's not a flat or rectangular type surface like a box, then those lines, they're going to have to be different, okay? The light is going to hit them, you know, at a different angle, and it's going to make a difference, you know, in the line weight you use. This is commonly what I refer to as a coat hanger, right? It's
As a what?
a coat hanger.
What? I'm still not getting it.
A coat hanger.
Coat.
Coat hanger. You know, like, you know, coat hangers that you buy, you know, in the get from the store.
Okay. Couldn't
Yeah,
hear
they're
what you were
metal
saying.
wire. Right. And so, you know, if you took that metal wire and you bent it around a shape, it kind of looks like a coat hanger.
No wire hanger.
Yeah. You know, just, yeah, like a wire coat hanger. All right. Then we have a ballerina, the same ballerina that we drew on Friday. And there's your drawing of it, okay? And kind of, you know, here you did a little better, right? You know, the upper part of the arm, you lighten the value. Over here, you've got it a little bit stronger and darker. So that part works, but you did this kind of the same thing, you know, with the dress, kind of equal weight.
Right.
You know, it was a real fashionable thing back in the post-impressionists when they were doing paintings and things to put a kind of a outline, use kind of a dark outline and flatten the shape. But that was kind of a stylistic thing that they did. You see that, you know, with like Vincent van Gogh and a lot of the other non-impressionist but post-impressionist painters. And that was like one or two steps before we got into modernism. And, you know, one of the ideas was that they weren't trying to create depth and space. They were looking at shapes and patterns and proportions. So unless you want to draw and paint in a post-impressionist style, yeah, you can kind of lose the outline.
Okay.
This is your, now this is the original print, right?
That's the aquatint.
Right. Okay.
Aquatint.
Yes. And then this is your painting from the aquatint. Okay. And I have to tell you, okay, and I like your painting of the aquatint better than I do the aquatint. Okay.
Excuse me?
You got more color in there. And now you've grayed down your rocks so they're not quite so green and they're beginning to feel more rock, which is.
Yeah, I got to work on those rocks.
Yeah. Well, you added some texture to them too, so it makes them feel more rough and like a rock. Now, did you use like a pencil or something? It looks like
Yeah, that's graphite on oil, and it's probably absolutely the wrong thing to do, but I was kind of desperate to try something because I was afraid that if I added any more oil, it would be too thick, and I needed something really thin. Maybe I need a real thin oil brush or something. I don't know.
When you say it was too thick, you're thinking about the line being too thick or the paint being too
Yeah, I have a hard time painting thin lines with oil. So that's why I used a graphite pencil to make the dark marks on the rocks.
So what kind of brush are you using?
It wasn't a brush at all. It was a graphite pencil.
No, I meant.
A regular oil brush.
Okay, but I mean, do you have something like a liner brush or a detail brush or something like that?
I think I'll probably invest in one.
You know what you can do with if you use your fan brush, turn it vertical and just use one of the edge, you can get a nice fine line.
Yeah, you can. And
Thank you. What a great suggestion.
Yeah, you can, if you've got a good flat brush that, is in good shape, you can also make some very fine lines with that too.
A dagger brush will work too.
Right.
A what?
A dagger brush.
Yeah.
Dagger brush.
Yeah, he
Okay,
calls it
thank
a
you.
dagger. I call it a liner. It's the one that's got like a real long shaft of hair.
Well, this one's cut at an angle across the
Oh,
face.
yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's like this.
Those are good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
thank you.
the other thing you could have done, right, is you could have taken a really old kind of gnarly oil brush that had all the hairs sticking out in all kinds of different directions, right? And you could have just got a little bit of paint on it and dried most of it out of it, and then just lightly kind of stumbled over those, and it would have left a lot of texture and kind of random lines and shapes that would have probably suggested a rock.
So I've got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I ought to try to do an erasure on the graphite and then go over it again with oil, or just leave it and go over it with oil?
I would leave it, and then.
Okay.
But if you went over it in oil, then maybe make a lighter gray, and
Right. Okay.
and get a slightly different value, and then don't put it on the shadow side. Just keep it up here,
Where?
But don't cover all of that over. Just let some of it show through, but a little bit of lighter value up there, and that
Okay.
will make those feel a little more dimensional.
Rock-like.
Right, rock-like.
Yes, I did do as you asked me to do, and I did go and look at rock outcroppings from the English Isle, and that was very helpful. Thank you for telling me to do that.
Okay. Well, it's nice to get to know what you're trying to paint.
Right.
Leonardo da Vinci, the one thing I took away from his notebooks and stuff he had to pin it is you can only paint what you know. was the sort of English translation. But that, that's one of his famous quotes, is that you can only paint what you know.
There's a painter on YouTube by the name of Andrew Tischler.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And his rocks are amazing. And he has some good YouTube videos on how to paint those things. So, if you got, link up to YouTube and look at Andrew Tischler. And
Tischler?
I believe that's the way it's spelled, yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tischler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've watched one or two of his videos before. Yeah, he's a good painter.
That looked to me like a New Zealand, but it's some landscape like that.
It's actually the British Isles.
Yeah.
British,
Right.
Yeah.
England?
Probably,
Yeah.
well, probably could be like Northern England. It could be
Right.
Ireland. It could also be Scotland, along the shoreline. It's a rocky place. They got a lot of rocks.
Ireland is green.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Scotland's green.
Well, so is Northern England. It's pretty green.
Maybe, oh God, I forgot the name of that part.
Wales?
Wales?
Yeah, the other one close to Wales. Okay, never mind.
The Isle of Man.
Cornwall.
Oh, Cornwall. Okay.
Yeah, Cornwall doesn't have trees. There's almost nothing.
Yeah. Well, Cornwall is that like Southern England? Okay.
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, but the landscape in England generally, it's kind of rolling hills. There's not a lot that's flat there in any of it, but some of it is like really, really rocky. And other parts, not quite so much. Anyway, nice piece, Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Keep at it,
I will.
if you're so inclined.
Having fun.
Yeah.
Having lots of fun.
Yeah. Figuring out how to paint rocks and stuff like that. Yeah, sometimes
Thanks, mate.
you gotta take a couple of goes at it. Yeah. Right. Then we have Mr. John Gigliotti. Where are you, John?
Let's go back to
Can I ask a
Susan's
question?
television.
We're going the wrong way. Okay. I guess I missed me. Okay.
What is it, Susan?
Let's go back to Susan's I'll relinquish my time to Susan's television.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Susan came
You're
in
going
late.
the wrong way today. Is that right?
Well, I started at the bottom going up. Yes. But I was
Okay, so I missed
asking,
that.
We had a nice conversation on your television, Susan.
that's
Oh,
right.
what did you say?
Well, everybody was duly impressed by your television.
Oh,
And we were all reminiscing about, I personally was reminiscing about my childhood memories of our very first TV. There was
yeah.
probably
I've got this television sitting in my living room. It belonged to one of my aunts. It's one of the original TVs.
right.
But
Yeah. I would say
I don't quite know what to do.
you don't know quite what year it was. Yeah,
It's in the 1940s, but I would think it's very, very early on. But whenever they were.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching an old black and white TV as a kid, and it was in like a big cabinet, but it was more horizontal than vertical. And but instead of a kind of a rectangular screen, it had kind of an oval screen in it.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah,
yeah,
this was before anything I remember as a kid. So
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah, but yeah, we were all having flashbacks, to watching black and white TV, back in the good old days. Anyway, it's a beautiful piece. It's a beautiful old TV, and it's in great shape. So.
Well, actually, the inside is sunk a little bit, so we've got to figure that out. But because the knobs and things are like inside and they've dropped, so
Okay. Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
It's not as,
it brings back good memories.
Yeah. Do you ever try to plug it in and use it? See if it will.
no, we can't use it because, no, I wouldn't even try. I might start a fire.
Oh,
Yes, I wouldn't either.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Safety first. Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about, and I'm guessing this is your drawing from memory, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it was hard to remember it. I just kind of threw it together.
Okay. Well, and I was making a comment on your drawing. Okay. So, if you look at the TV and the structure of it and things like that, you got a lot of the details, of the TV. The thing that you could have probably done a little better on was the overall proportion of it, because it seemed more vertical.
Yeah, I made it too wide. I think it needed to be narrower.
Yeah. Well, either too wide or too short. Either way would go.
And I put in too many speaker things.
Yeah.
I've got more than should be there, but.
Okay. Well, yeah, we didn't count those, but we got the idea. And you got the grill, you got where the buttons and stuff were, and the overall shape and the kind of the nature of the screen itself. Yeah. But it's you got like 99% of it. It's just mainly just the proportion of it. And we were talking about the fact that the value of doing these exercises of trying to draw things from memory is that it kind of helps you learn how to slow down and really look at something and really focus on it. And that's something that we don't do today a lot because we're so involved in computers and cell phones and everything's kind of instantaneous, and there's not many moments in our life where we just really kind of stop and listen. So I'd kind of encourage you, keep doing stuff like this from time to time. Just kind of
But
work
I
on
couldn't
those.
hear that part.
Pardon?
I missed it. I missed that part. I couldn't hear you.
I said I would just encourage you to, keep doing exercises like that from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's valuable to sit and draw looking at something, but it's also valuable to look at something and really kind of take it in and then try to draw it, out of your memory, or the things that, really stood out about it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. All right.
Thanks for going back. I'm sorry I let you do that, but
That's,
I can't get there on time on Thursday. I just can't do it.
okay. That's fine.
Sometimes. Okay.
You're
Thanks.
welcome anytime you can get here. Okay.
I can pop in. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, as far as scrolling up and down, it is so hard to do, right? Not really.
All right.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so John.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, he's still here. Okay, so
Oh, yeah.
we talked about this a little bit on Monday, but we're going to talk about it again.
Yes.
So, yeah, well, there's some valuable lessons, and I don't know that everybody was here. And what we talked about on Monday when we looked at this was, if you look at this piece, it's made out of glass, and it's this is an ice bucket, right?
Fashion ice bucket. Yes.
Right. Okay. All right, but the thing I want you to notice about it is look at the ellipses on this, right? And they're somewhat distorted, right? Because of how he took the picture, the camera was fairly close to it, and so it sort of distorted things a little bit. But also, if you were close to, an object like this, you're going to get kind of an extreme difference between the ellipses. Here at the top, which is closer to your eye level, which if I had to make a guess, is probably somewhere like right up in here is where he was, where the camera was when he took this. And so this whole ice bucket is below your eye level. And so you're seeing the ellipse here, which is, open, but still not really wide open. And then you go down to the bottom at the base where it's actually sitting on the surface, and it seems, quite a bit more round, doesn't it? And that's, that's perspective for you. That's what happens. It's a cylindrical shape, and you've got two oval openings, at the top and the bottom being closed actually, but it's still a rounded shape. And so the further it gets away from your eye level, either above or below you, the rounder it's going to feel, right? The closer it gets to your eye level, the more it's going to get closer together until it's really at your eye level. And if this were right at your eye level, all you would see here is pretty much a straight line. Okay? If that were just a little bit smaller, say up here, then it probably would have just been a straight line there, and you wouldn't have actually seen the other side. So anytime you're drawing
If
around,
it was at eye level, then the bottom would be more oval, right?
pardon?
If it was at eye level that you just saw, say, look straight across,
Mhm.
the bottom would
Well,
be
the
more.
bottom, if it stayed in the
then, right?
same, yeah, if the bottom stayed in the same place, let's just say that this were like 6 inches taller, right?
Uh.
Instead of ending here, it kind of ended up here.
Right.
Then it probably would have been a straight line, but that would have stayed the same.
It would have stayed the same. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, we didn't move the piece, we just made it taller.
Right.
But I think we've done exercises like that where we looked at ellipses in perspective. And again, as they move either below and or above your eye level, the more open they're going to appear to be. The closer they are to your eye level, the narrower they're going to be. So, just keep that in mind. The other big challenge with this was the fact that it's transparent, right? And that you actually do see through it. You see the other side of it, right? And then if you look at where like the little highlights are around the edge, okay? Again, that helps separate, this is in front, that's further back. You see some of the reflections, in the actual glass surface itself. Some of those are pretty subtle, but if you look at the piece that's behind it here, and then look what happens. There's a reflection. This is the glass is reflecting something in the room. And you see how it makes it look lighter here when that shadow still runs up under that silver piece. But because light is hitting this, it's actually making it lighter. You see where the shadow goes in under it and changes value?
Now that's a lot to see even in 20 minutes.
Yeah. But if you're gonna, there's things. Recording. Wow, we're gonna start hip hop in here. Kind of sounds like.
All the hackers.
So, what I was gonna say was, I guess one of the things that.
I think that's Susan.
I switched to my phone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Susan. Okay.
Two Wi-Fi devices two devices on the same Wi-Fi.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I muted her. Okay. So we won't have the echo. At any rate, what I was about to say was some of the things that's really valuable about drawing every day is a lot of times it teaches you what you can use, right? And then things to just leave out, don't worry about them, right? And if you're doing a piece of glass and you want to make it look like a piece of glass, one of the things that you can use are those reflections within the glass. to create changes in value. And it, you know, it tells you that it's a transparent thing. Now, so, you know, we're looking at this, and then also look at the range of value. So you get some pretty extreme darks, you get some pretty extreme lights, and then you get a lot of midtones in between, right? So then when we go to John's piece, which he did in watercolor.
Right, my ceramic pot.
Yeah. Well, and see, yeah, the thing is, again, we talked about this on Monday. If you would have pushed your values and gotten some really good, strong darks in here with the light that you had, it would have looked more like glass. See? But because the value range is so close, it doesn't look as reflective as what a glass surface would be. And so, so it doesn't quite look glass-like yet, you know. It could very easily. You know, and we already talked about the ellipses, right? Which you sort of have opposite, actually. You know, this seems to be a lot more closed, and that seems to be a lot more open.
Right.
So.
And that was not really, I guess, memory from looking at it for 20 minutes, but more common, the quote unquote common sense that the ellipses should be identical.
Okay.
Perception that the ellipses should be identical.
Right, and the thing is, that's not really,
Not
Not
what
really
it
true.
is. No.
Yeah.
Right.
And reality, it doesn't do that. Now, are they actually as round as each other? Yeah, when you physically measure them, they are. But because of, you know, where the object is in relationship to you are, would be, see if I can speak English here, would be, then, yeah, they're going to appear differently, even though they are the same diameter, maybe. Okay? So, again, you know, there's things that, you know, even in these exercises of looking and trying to draw from your memory, you know, things you might want to look at is what kind of surface is it? You know, what's the value range that I see? Do I see strong darks and strong lights? You know, what's the shape and the general proportion of it? You know, if you get some of those things right, it's going to look more like the thing that you're trying to, you know, paint or draw. So, anyway. Let's see. Oh, guess who's next? Susan, you're upside down.
I'm upside down.
Yeah, you have anti-gravity, Susan.
Is this
There we go.
better?
Now you're right side up.
I'm trying to, my ear thing isn't working well, so I switched to my phone, but
Okay. All right. Is the sound any better?
I'm getting a very, very light sound now, so I'm trying to turn it up and I can't.
Okay. Well, we can hear you quite well.
You can hear me fine? Okay.
We
Yep.
can.
But I'm not supposed to be talking. Okay.
I don't know about that. You know, you could talk. Anyway, we're going to look at Eloise's drawing of the ballerina now. Okay. Eloise, I see you here.
I'm here.
Yeah, now we actually see Eloise. Okay, so this was the drawing from Friday. And, okay, so here's the things that are really nice about this drawing. Well, overall, the proportions, length, things like that, you got her all basically on the page. You know, the general movement and gesture of the pose are all really good, okay?
It looks really weird.
It looks really weird?
Yes, to me. I guess her leg's too short, her neck's too long.
Well,
So, anyway, I was doing it in a hurry.
Yeah, but I'm talking about overall proportions. You know, when we start talking about the actual anatomy, okay, yeah, there's some weird things going on. But even at that, there were weird things going on actually in her, okay? If you looked at the photograph of her, she wasn't what you think a ballerina would look like. You know, she's actually quite thick-waisted and kind of heavy in the torso, even though she has like really light arms, and she had like really thick, very muscular legs. So yeah, not exactly that long, willowy, graceful type ballerina that you think of. But yeah, she was pretty muscular, pretty athletic. But let's go back and talk about your drawing. Okay. The thing that could have made that, the drawing itself a little bit better was, again, look at where the light is, and how you use the line and varying the line, making it lighter and less distinct where the light is hitting the surfaces, and then a little stronger where the shadows are hitting the surfaces would have helped the drawing a little bit, and given you more variety, kind of more, I guess, what we would call rhythm in the drawing. But because the line work is kind of continuous and kind of the same, it kind of flattens it out a little bit. Now, you did use value. You put in some tone in areas to make some dark, some light. So that helped give it, some sense of volume and where the light was coming from. And so, all of that worked. But, it's overall, it's a pretty nice drawing. You captured, the general intent of what she was doing. And it's just, again, trying to be more conscientious about how you use the pencil and the weight of the line and what you're trying to say with it. Are you trying to say that this is an edge of something that's in light, or are you trying to say that it's in shadow? And you can't use the same line for both. It's got to change in some way. So, that's my comment on your ballerina drawing. And that's, you didn't send anything else in, did you?
I don't know why you have to. I just sent it once, I thought.
Yeah, I downloaded it twice. Yeah, because I went back and picked up some things from,
I forgot about the other assignment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You didn't do the memory thing?
No, I will have to do that. I just forgot.
So you forgot how to do, you forgot to do the memory thing. What does that say about
Right.
your memory?
Is that saying something?
Yeah, is that saying something? Okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. It's fine. Okay.
Never admit it.
Yeah.
I got caught.
Yeah. Yeah. I call that sometimes. Sometimers. Sometimes I remember and sometimes I don't.
Right, I've got it.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that.
It's just that you didn't get around to it, Eloise.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, I didn't to it.
Right. Yes, it's all how you present
That
it.
sounds good.
Yes.
That's your story and stick by it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I didn't forget to do the assignment. I just didn't get around to it because my life is
I like
so
that.
full
like
and busy that I just can't get it all in, So
Okay, sounds good.
there you go. All right. Bob.
Sir,
Okay. We're looking at a dog. You sent this
that was
in.
the original.
Oh, he's cute.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Wallace.
he is.
That's the original first kind of putting things in the right places.
Mm-hmm.
Picture.
Yeah. Yeah. So his
Sonny.
name is Wallace, right?
His name is Wallace. Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. So you want to tell everybody what you're doing with Wallace?
Well, Wallace is going to be a Christmas present from my daughter-in-law and my son. And you'll see him in a couple of pictures up here. But I've been working on him for about a month, I guess, maybe a little bit longer.
Right.
And it's slowly but surely, and I think I'm going to stick a fork in this last one. So I think it's done.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the painting of Wallace. Okay. And so,
So cute.
yeah. So you're getting
is.
your light and your shadows in on
Oh,
Wanda.
but I did something that didn't show in this painting.
Okay.
On his back, well, let's see, from about where the back leg, where you can see the little back leg sticking out, from there down, I made it very light. So it looks like he's sitting on something versus just floating in midair.
Okay.
And then I left a big shadow underneath him here and a shadow over on the left, facing the dog, the left side.
Okay.
And so it's so he looks like he's got something besides float.
Okay. All right. So maybe you can send us, a more updated version of this.
I will do that.
Yeah.
I will do that.
Okay. Well, and we're looking at a photograph of your painting, and the things that I picked up on were that I began to see some warmer colors in here, and then when I actually look at the dog, he actually has a lot of warm kind of colors in his hair. It's not really white.
He does, yes.
Yeah. And I guess my question to you, when I look at the painting, is you used a lot of neutral grays, and that's fine, but are you going to try to get more color in there so that he looks more, generally warmer in color?
I think I have.
That is so cute.
Yeah, what a nice
Yes, he
gift.
is. Yeah, right.
Sending updated a picture. He's got a lot more reds.
Yeah.
In him than that particular photograph I sent you. For some reason or other, I didn't.
Oh, you mean the actual painting has more reds in it?
Yes.
what we're seeing?
I've added a lot more over on the left side, over his shoulder, down under his chest, a little more in his legs, a lot more in his face. I've shined up his nose a little bit. I've made his tongue a little bit more dramatic than what it is now.
A little more pink.
Just a little bit more pink in there, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of difference between. I don't know why I didn't do that. Shame on me.
Okay. Well, yeah. So maybe you can send us an updated photo, because
I will.
The only comment I was really going to make about this was that you just need to push color more into it, because he actually has a lot more color. And this kind of looks like a kind of a silvery gray colored dog, rather than a kind of I guess a kind of a beige sort of color that he has to it. And so, yeah, it's
A little more
color.
burnt sienna, I think, in him than.
Pardon?
I think there's a little more burnt sienna in him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or Terra Rosa, one of those.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, anything warmer from here would make it better. And you could do it with glazes, you could do it with direct paint, whatever you want to do. And one of the reasons I was going to kind of push you on trying to make him overall warmer, other than the reference photo that we're looking at, is you chose to put him on this very kind of intense sort of blue background. And so the warmer you make him, the more contrast you're going to have between him and the background, and he's going to stand more forward. Okay, from that. Okay?
Gotcha.
That's kind of the general prevailing thought that I had. Okay, let's see. And then we looked at her again. Now I don't think this is the right one.
No, it's not. No, that's not.
Okay.
No, there's
Yeah,
a
we
better one.
we looked at one, and you had softened all of the fabric and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll resend both of those.
I think we looked at it on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, but I evidently I grabbed the wrong one. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Let's see. And then we have your cards. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Of which you're making some really
Canadian
lovely Christmas cards. Nice
Canadian gifts. They might taste good. I will shoot one and cook it.
Uh-huh.
Armando,
Yes.
we're not bailing you out of jail. Okay. You,
Well, there's plenty
you
of them
do.
here
You
in the
can-
Chattahoochee, and they don't let us kill one.
Yeah, well, exactly. You see, they are in a national park, okay? That means you can't, they're off limits. You can't eat them, okay? Now, if they end up in your backyard, you know, I mean, that's a whole nother thing, right? But
Uh-huh.
yeah, but they are protected, so you can't just go randomly around shooting geese.
They eat them in Alaska, so I don't know.
Well, they do, but there's a hunting season for them, and there's places you can hunt them and places you can't. So, and the
Oh.
Chattahoochee River is one of the places you can't. So, don't do that.
Ah,
You know? Okay, but anyway, okay. Other than them ending up on the plate for dinner for Christmas or Thanksgiving, you got some nice geese there, Bob. Okay,
Thanks.
and it's nice just the way it is. You know, you don't have to add a lot of extra detail or something to it. You've got a nice suggestion that they're geese. You got in water, you know, it's reflecting things around it, including the reeds over here that they're next to. So yeah, that's a nice little card. And this is like one of these, you know, kind of like store-bought, you know, you paint the card, but it's already put together and folded and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's a Strathmore set that I bought a long time ago. You get about 50 cards, 50 envelopes, I think.
Yeah.
It was. So you can make a mistake on a few of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people, when they go on like trips, you know, to like Europe and places like that, they'll buy packs like that, and they'll actually do cards and mail them to people, you know, from,
how cool is
well,
that?
they've got the folded cards, but they've also got postcards that you can get, and you can paint on the one side, and then on the back side, it's already pre-printed for a postcard. And you just fill in the address and stuff, drop it in the mailbox with a stamp, and away it goes. You know, and I've had artist friends, you know, who will send me postcards like that from some of their travels and things. And they're wonderful, you know, wonderful to play with. And you get some nice artwork. You know. Good way to collect somebody's work. Now, this was from music, right?
Right.
For those of you who were not here with us yesterday, we watched two different videos, both musically oriented. One on Josephine Baker, but the other was Yo-Yo Ma and the Silk Road Ensemble. And one of my suggestions to people were, pick your favorite piece of music and then create a piece of art based on whatever you feel about that music. It could be representational like this, and or it could be totally abstract, right? And it's just, you know, it's something to kind of stimulate your brain and get you thinking a little differently, and then kind of figure out how you're going to express that. Yeah. So, and it's not an assignment. It's just, it's something that you could do, right?
So this kept it. A piece of music from Art Garfunkel called "Bridge Over Troubled Waters."
There we go.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right.
Is this the Golden Gate?
No, it's just a bridge going to someplace.
Yeah.
It has some structures like similar than the
Yeah.
Golden Gate.
A little bit. I had to have something in there to hold it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to, you know, walk across a flimsy looking bridge. So I have a suggestion for you, Bob. Okay.
Well, this is just preliminary. I mean, this is just, I wanted to get something down on paper so I didn't forget. So go for it.
Okay. I probably would have, if it was bridge over troubled waters, I probably would have tried to put a little more movement and things in the water below it.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that, and I haven't been very successful yet.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but look at films from like flood footage and stuff like that, you know, or, you know, like flash floods.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because there's a lot of motion. You know, you can also look at Japanese woodblock prints of waves, you know, and kind of how they graphically treat those.
Yeah.
And you would have gotten, I think, more of the troubled water part. You know, you got definitely a bridge, people going over the bridge. But okay, yeah.
But one thing I'd say I didn't have time to do, but I will do, is in the far right hand upper corner, I'm going to make that nice and sunny and warm in that side, because you're going from a gray, dismal, yucky side to a better side.
Right. Things are getting better. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, you know, that's good thought. Ah, we have Santa Claus. He's laying down on the job. Let's stand him up. Okay.
He's tired already.
Yeah. Cute little Santa. Now let me ask you something. Okay. Now, are you doing these with like gouache? Or are you doing these with watercolor? Or?
Watercolor, gouache, and ink.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because some of these look a little bit opaque. They're kind of more like gouache. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. But okay, so you got a nice figure. He's real active. He's got, you know, a lot of expression. Okay. Are you gonna do anything in the background?
No, not this one.
Okay. Well,
I've got about 10 of them to do, and I'm on number 5 right now. So
okay.
I need to get moving.
Okay. Well, I would kind of encourage you, not that you have to like fill in the whole background, but like, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Moving around? Okay. So you could come in and like right in this kind of an oval shape or something like that. You could just lay in any kind of, I would make it generally kind of a cooler, more neutral color, wash. You know, just to tint it just a little bit, so that the white really pops up.
Okay.
Okay. Because right now, even though this is a little bit darker and cooler than the background of the paper, they're still pretty close. You almost lose them, right? And just a little hint of color back in there or value would make that pop forward. Okay.
Okay.
Suggestion. Let's see, where are we? Over here. That's what I thought. And then we got this guy. Your Christmas tree with snowmen. Or snowman and woman, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. The happy
No person.
snow people couple. Okay. All right. And
That's nice.
you know, a big kind of, you know, Christmas tree, kind of spruce looking.
For a Christmas card, it's nice.
Yes, it is. See? And you know, my point to you, Bob, is you see if you have just a little bit of color back in there, how the white pops.
Right.
Yeah. So, but that works really well. You know?
I just noticed something. I forgot to give them sticks for arms. Shame on me. I got to do that.
Okay, you could. You know, they look pretty happy the way they are, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And it's kind of nice that you kind of enclose them, you know, in a shape, you know, a circle like that, because you know you got a lot of repeated rounded kind of shapes against sort of the triangle. So it makes kind of a nice design going on.
I really like all the cards you did, Bob. The style you use, just very nice.
Oh, thank you. It's interesting. The truck I sent you, I think it was a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Remember that? Well, I finished it and I sent it to the guy that had the truck that showed me. Well, he called me the other day just as soon as he got the card and thanked me very much for it, because it was kind of personal to him, that old truck, because he and a buddy drug it out of the mud someplace and put it back together and made it work. So he was very happy. to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice old Ford truck, you know, that was a work truck, literally, you know.
That was a work truck, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not driving that one, you know, you're not taking your date downtown in that one. So,
Well,
but
it depends if you don't have any other transportation or not.
Well, I guess, you know, maybe, yeah. You know, it'd be hard parking that one. No. So.
Those are all cute and whimsical, Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking my cues from an artist by the name of P. Buckley Moss. She does a lot of very stylized work, and so I'm just trying to not necessarily copy. I'm not copying her work, but kind of using her as an inspiration for doing these.
Very nice.
Good. All right. Did Bernice ever show up? Have we seen her? Or is she still kind of missing in action? Yeah, I see June. I don't see Bernice. Okay. Well, maybe Bernice isn't here today. Bernice has been busy. This is her source of inspiration. Okay. And then she took it, and evidently she likes to play around on the computer or something like that, or maybe she likes to cut and paste, I don't know. But she did something like this, and I have no idea who this guy is. Okay. But I would say that she probably knows him, you know, or, you know, maybe. But, you know, nice Santa, right? And then she replaced a lot of the gifts with things that I think are probably more age appropriate, right? Anybody know what any of that stuff is?
That aging there, I don't know
Yeah,
about
the
that.
pack, you know, heat therapy
Yeah.
thing.
The orthotic stockings.
Right.
And the cane.
And the Ben Gay.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely, you know, yeah, a little wry humor there from our friend Bernice. Okay. So probably hard to defend to any of us. But yeah, it's real cute. You know, it's a nice kind of little play on you know, an idea. So, and then maybe a little bit more serious. She did this flower for her memory exercise. And so she looked at the flower. This is out by her mailbox, she said. And it was kind of, it's like the last flower holding on, you know, because the weather's getting cold. And so from there, you know, she went away. She did a sketch. Okay. And so she got the general kind of composition of the flower with the three flowers, you know, kind of knit together. But she got a couple of things off, which was, you know, the general kind of shapes that the flower petals made, things like that. Not that that's really important, but, you know, you're doing a drawing from memory. Now, the leaf shapes, you know, she remembered pretty clearly. But then she went from there and she did a real painting. And so this was a very, very quick color sketch that she did. And, you know, as far as, you know, pushing, you know, your memory and trying to remember color and the intensity and the range of color, this is actually a pretty good exercise. You know, she got definitely that more magenta sort of feel to the paint. Definitely kind of in the right family of greens, right? So, and then, you know, that's kind of the color of the red brick. So overall, you know, for her 15-minute observation, you know, she remembered a lot of different things, you know, about, you know, this particular thing that she was looking at. And so overall, pretty good exercise. So, all right. Anyway, that's about all I have today, other than Neat. Okay. And I
That's
showed you
some-
guys. I showed you guys my my ballerina, but after doing the ballerina, I went back and I redid her. Okay. But I did her from memory. So this is my ballerina from memory.
Oh, great.
It's very similar to another ballerina that we did before. The other one was Asian ballerina, remember?
Wow.
The same class.
Yeah, well, this one was from Friday.
That's
Well,
very
you,
nice.
you definitely improved her body torso.
Okay. I did, huh? Okay. Well, anyway, like I said, you know, this is kind of my memory of, you know, that pose. And I did that this morning.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
You have a good memory.
But I also did another thing this morning. And I'm going to stop sharing this right now. And I'm going to share something else. So, oh, I don't want to close that. So let's see. So share. And then we got to go find it. Ah, right here it is. Where are you? Right here. Ah. All right. So I'm going to play this for you guys. All the beautiful red. Trying to capture some of the, probably not easy, you know, on a video or a photograph. But they're there. Kind of waiting for the that's going to be a little while. Before you actually see, you know, any hint of the colors in the meantime.
I heard on the radio that the sunrise this morning was fantastic.
Kind of a red.
Out here.
You know, even the dark trees.
I wish I had seen it.
Pardon?
I wish I had seen that beautiful sunrise. I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, I heard it say comparing how spectacular it was.
Well, it was
Till it got,
right.
till it got above the clouds.
What time was it?
Right around about 7.
Where?
On my back deck.
Oh, okay. Lucky you.
Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah, I live out in the woods, out in the trees. You know, right in the middle of Smyrna.
You, yes. I
Okay.
want to ask something.
Yeah. So anyway, so I spent a little time out there, you know, hanging around. And so just before class, and this is literally probably about a half hour, I did a little like 5x7 painting, you know, a little study.
Cool. Very
Trying,
nice.
That's nice.
yeah, trying to get just a little bit of what I was seeing out there. Okay.
Right.
Now in looking at the image, from the video, and then what I put down, I need to adjust some values. You know, all of the values up here need to get slightly darker. And that would make the light right there feel a lot more light and a lot more vibrant. So after the class is over, and this is still very, very wet, you know, I'll probably go back in there and I'll probably push, you know, a little more of this kind of bluish or blue violet up in here, just to generally darken it down in value and try to get a little more pop, you know, out of that area right in there. But that was my, you know, that's today's 15-minute, you know, memory exercise. So,
Great. Charles, I have a question.
yeah.
When you are doing a landscape, in the beginning, do you paint swaths of color and then go back and do the details for the trees going in a different direction?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I started with was trying to get in the landmass down here on the bottom and dividing. Now this was on a small little hard panel, you know, that was on a cradle. You know, we got a wooden structure underneath it, but the panel itself was actually kind of almost about that color right there. It's kind of almost already an orange, like a really pale orange. And that was the base coat that was already on it, and it came from the factory that way. But from there, you know, I basically started off with kind of a grayish, not like a real strong dark, but kind of maybe about a number 6 or 7 value, and just blocked in the bottom, you know, because all of this was darker. And then I began to work color into it, you know, more reds and blues and things like that, to try to get it cooler as it moved to the edge and warmer as it, you know, was in the center. And then after that, you know, I basically started painting in the sky, really kind of starting toward, you know, like the areas of where the darker clouds were. So in this area, and then there was another cloud structure in here that I had in. And then I just kept working lighter there, you know, more and more light color. You know, until I got sort of the sky established. And then the last thing I did was the trees. And I started here with the more reddish, warmer colored trees. And then as I moved outward, I tried to make them more gray and cooler, you know, as they moved to the edge. Again, sort of reflecting what was going on with the general feel of the light, you know, at that time, because as you were looking at the horizon line and right where the sun was rising, all of that felt much warmer. And then as it got out to your peripheral, it all got cooler, you know, more blues and more violets. So, and that's, you know, that was my memory of it. That's what I wanted to try to capture, you know, in the little study that I did. So, you know, but
Maybe because I have a picture similar to this, the yellow part is like water to me instead of sky.
you mean right here?
Or maybe that's because I had, yeah, all of it looks like water, a reflection on the water, but I guess because I have a picture.
I'm sorry, what?
I have a picture that's similar to that, but it's water. And when I saw this one, it hit me of water instead of sky.
Ah, okay. All right. So
it's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, it's a nice little study, you know. And again, you know, this is about a half hour total, you know, of actually painting it. So, you know, there's no real attempt at detail or anything like that. It's just trying to give myself like a suggestion of what I was seeing at that time. You know, that's it. So, you know, I decided to try to do that, you know, this morning. You know, it was gorgeous out there. And so I shot that video, you know, basically to try to record what I was looking at. And then, like I said, around about 1 o'clock, I started this, you know, and tried to throw something together real quick, you know, to share with you guys. So that was my memory exercise for today.
Good job.
Mhm.
Yeah, I almost have a memory that works sometimes. You
It
know,
works pretty good.
sometimes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I actually surprise myself, you know. Anyway.
As long as we can remember our names, I say we're good.
Well, I'll go one step further.
Hey, very good.
There's two critical things. Yeah. A, remember who you are, and B, remember how to get home.
Yeah, that's the other one.
All right.
Yeah. If you forget either one of those, you are in trouble. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway. All right. Anybody got anything else we want to cover today before we all go away?
I got a phone call from Fulton County. They are giving something, I don't know what day. They're supposed to call back.
A food basket.
Oh, food basket, good.
Yes. Well,
But you have to cook it, Armando. They're not gonna cook it for you.
Oh, don't worry. I have plenty people who can cook for me.
I'm sure you do.
well, all I can say about that is that yes, Rob Pitts, who is a councilman.
The guy who made the big money.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, he is, I think, going to be at the Benson Center. I think they gave a date, and he's going to be handing out, you know, packages of food for people to come drive.
I think it's 21st.
Yeah.
I think so.
But yeah, you can go by there and, you know, I don't know exactly what's in it, but the general indication was that it's sort of fixings for a Christmas dinner for those. And I don't know what the qualifications for that. I don't know if there's like, you gotta be within a certain budget range or whatever, you know, or just a participant at some of the centers. But I know they're doing that at Benson. You know, I'm not sure that they're doing it at all the centers, but more than likely they are. So
22nd for Bowden.
is it 22nd for that? Okay. So yeah, just be aware of that. Do you know anything about the details about who qualifies for that?
No.
They didn't really say anything in there.
I don't think it's an income. I think because it's a private donor, I think it's just membership.
Okay. All right.
I press 1 to put my name on it, so.
Okay. Do you have to sign up for it, or is it just a?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know all the rules. I saw it briefly, and you know, I didn't have time to get into the details of it because I was trying to get ready for a class today. Who could have thought about that one? At any rate, but yeah, I would encourage you. You know, if it's hey, free food is free food. You know.
Yeah.
And we're all artists, right?
Yeah.
And what do artists like the most?
Food.
Free food. Free food. Yeah, that's why we go to art openings. You know, there's always free food. You know, that keeps us from being starving, you know. So, you know, we're not starving artists anymore. We're well-fed artists, you know, and got a little wine in the whole mix too. So all the much better. Anyway, that's all I got. Anybody else?
So next week is the last week of classes for a while. Is that right?
The 17th is our last day. Is that
for
next?
a
Oh,
couple
yeah,
weeks?
17, yes.
Yeah, because as of the 20th through January the 3rd, you know, I and all of the other Fulton County employees at the you know, senior centers will basically be in what we call planning and preparation mode. Okay.
Good.
And I made an announcement. I think it was on Monday. Might have been yesterday. But yeah, basically what we're looking at right now is there's kind of a push to move into what they Okay, I'm sorry. Move into what they call hybrid classes. And so, we're trying to figure that out. So what that actually means, as far as I understand right now, is that at Benson, for example, they'll have, maybe 5 or 6 people in the studio that will be sitting there, actually working while I'm giving a Zoom class. And they'll be watching the Zoom class and they'll be getting instruction via what I'm seeing, via, the big TV screen.
So you as the instructor would not be in the studio?
No. But if you want to be social and hang out with people, you can go hang out in the room with.
Can they set that up sort of virtually so that you can see what they're doing in the studio?
More or less, yeah. We're gonna have to kind
But
of.
we can take the class from home too, right?
Well, yeah. Now, in addition to that, and I don't know that it's really going to happen at first during the year, but one of the things that we're talking about is trying to go back to provide a certain amount of basic materials for people. And so right now I'm looking at ways that we could put like little care packages together for these art classes. So it would have like maybe 5 or 6 tubes of acrylic paint, a couple of canvases, some basic brushes, maybe some drawing pencils, some drawing paper, maybe some toned paper, so that, you guys have something other than just white bond paper to draw on. So we're looking at, putting together packages like that so that you have access to, a little wider variety of materials. And then when we're doing these classes and we have certain assignments that I want you to use like a light value and a dark value on a toned piece of paper, I know you have that, see? It's not a question of, do you have a white Prismacolor pencil, because we're going to give you one, right? Or a darker one. So, we're talking about that right now as well. And, how we're going to work all that out yet, I don't know. I don't have all the answers to that, but that's kind of the direction that we're heading right now. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, what I did tell everybody, I think on Monday is, as I get to know, what's going on, and as I have a clearer picture as to how that's going to work, I'll be letting you know. And we'll be coming out with a new class schedule. Probably, my guess is sometime right around the first of the year, I'll be sending out an email with, the new classes and things, and the times for it. It's probably not going to change a lot, as far as the actual physical days of the week and the structure. But with what they're trying to do, some of these classes are going to go more from like watching videos and things like that to, a little closer to an actual class where you work in. So maybe like 2 days a week, we'll actually have like an actual, sit down, and paint, kind of like we do on Friday, where you actually draw. And that may be one of those days, maybe one day is a drawing day, one day is a painting day. So that you guys actually get some time to work on projects and get some feedback, as you're doing something. So, anybody got any thoughts about that? Opinions? Anything they want to throw in?
Yeah, that's good. But the art history, so to speak, is rewarding as well.
Yeah, well, that's not going to go away.
Oh,
yeah, that's not going to go away. I generally do that sort of more on Mondays and Wednesdays.
right.
Yeah, and that's, for me, that's something that's invaluable. one of the things about developing yourself as an artist is understanding, what people have done, over, history. And then being able to tie that into how it relates to the time that they were living and working, and how it's reflective of that time is, I think, really critical, because you as an artist, as you're developing as an artist, what are you doing? You can't paint something that happened 200 years ago. You weren't there. So whatever you do today is really a reflection of the time that you live in right now. And so understanding how important that is, and how that kind of positions you uniquely, in history, whether or not your art ends up in a museum or whether it ends up in your great-great-grandchildren's collection is still important, because it's a reflection of who you were and where, the time and the place that you lived in. And that will never happen again, ever. It's not going to be the same 100 years from now. We're dealing with something that's unique to this time. So, having some sense of the importance of that, I think, is a good thing. So, of course, that's my opinion. So, anybody else got anything they want to throw in? Anything you want to see that we're not doing? Any ideas on maybe how to do it better?
No.
Wait a minute.
No.
I think you do a pretty good job.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, there is one thing I wanted to do. There was one thing I wanted to
Okay.
do. You did the eyes, but I still want to do the mouth. I still want to do
The mouth, the nose, and the ears.
Yeah.
Get,
Yeah.
get all the parts. Okay. Well, maybe on Friday, we'll do mouths and noses and ears.
You mean tomorrow?
Yes. Tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow is Friday. Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say something like almost the same idea, but when you actually showed us while you were doing it, the faces, the circles, the shading, so an actual practical, so we can see you working on it, not your finished piece.
Right.
But to see you actually live doing your little thumbnail of the sunrise, things like that, that we can maybe pick up some techniques or ask you questions while you're doing what you're doing.
Okay. We can do that. Yeah. Yeah.
I could be off. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. No, we can do that. Okay. So tomorrow, for those of you who are going to be here, we will do features of the face. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ears, noses, mouths. Okay.
Okay.
And we'll even do facial hair.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I hate to tell you this, but not all men have cookie dusters. Okay. Little wiry things, hair on the face is a lot like hair on the head. It's still a big shape and forms and things like that. So we'll talk a little bit about all that stuff tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
All
See you
right.
tomorrow.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Until tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
You too.